Hi, I'm Rachel Namitz, and I will be sharing with you Chapter 2 of Rules and Procedures from the Marzano textbook. He begins his chapter by sharing the research that he combined for his meta-analysis of the effect of rules and procedures on student behavior, and found that the results were significant at the 0.05 level, meaning that there is a correlation between teachers who employ rules and procedures in their classroom and a decrease in student disruptions. One point that he made in this chapter regarding meta-analysis is how having more subjects in his studies, by combining the studies, he was able to have a greater confidence in the effect size, meaning that the window of the effect size is much smaller, that they can be more you can be more confident with the average effect size. As a result of the research, he suggests one program that schools could purchase to help teachers in the school at a school-wide level implement rules and procedures for the school. And the program is Classroom Organization and Management Program, COMP. That this program is proven to decrease student disruptive behavior, increase student engagement, and increase student achievement as measured by standardized tests. It's an inquiry-based program that takes about 6 to 18 weeks for teachers and staff to go through. During this training, they analyze their classroom practices using checklists. They get to try out research-based strategies and then examine the effectiveness of these efforts. And you can see the texts that are used for this program. But not all schools have big bucks to spend on these pre-made programs. And so Marzano just included some action steps that schools can take, individual teachers can take in their classrooms to reap some of these same benefits. And so he identifies two key areas. Identify specific rules and procedures in your classroom, and then involve the students in the design of these rules and procedures. For general classroom behavior, elementary teachers need to create rules and procedures regarding student politeness and helpfulness when dealing with others, respecting other students' property and school property. What happens if they interrupt the classroom? How does the teacher react to that? Same with hitting or shoving. That both of those should be things that are not happening, but because they do, what's in place for dealing with those situations when they arise. At the high school level, helping students know what they need in order to be prepared and to be prompt for class, how they are to respect others, and what is in place if they do not. Letting students know ahead of time, when is it acceptable to talk in the classroom, when must they listen, how do they offer ideas in a large group situation, small group situation, how are they allowed to move around the classroom, are they supposed to be in their seats at all time and ask permission for any movement, what is expected, and then respecting property again of other students and of the school. That with all of these, the idea is that students know exactly what is expected of them, and because they know what is expected of them, they are better prepared to act in appropriate manners. Another time of day that is important for students to know exactly what is expected of them is at the beginning and ending of the school day or each class period. At the elementary level, this is knowing what they should do as they come into the classroom. What is the procedure for like a morning meeting where maybe specific social activities such as birthdays or holidays are recognized? The Pledge of Allegiance is usually part of that. During this time, how does the teacher take care of administrative activities such as taking attendance, sending in lunch count? At the end of the day, how are the students involved in cleaning the classroom, their individual desk area, putting materials away, being ready to go home? What's the step by step so they know exactly what to do? At the high school level, as students come in the room, how does the teacher take attendance and not waste valuable class time? How do students know what they missed if they were not in class yesterday? How do they get that makeup work? How do they turn in late work? If students are tardy coming to class, what's the procedure for them coming in with the least amount of disruption? And then at the end of the class, that the students know exactly what is expected of them in regards to their homework. During class or during the day, there are times when there is movement necessary, and these can be times of disruption when students don't know exactly what is expected of them. And so it's important that there are procedures in place for leaving the classroom and returning to it. How do we walk in the hallway? How do we get from point A to point B? How do they use the bathroom if they need to go during class, or you go into the library, the resource room? What are the expectations there? What are the rules for the cafeteria? What are the rules for the playground? How do we get there? How do we leave? How do we use it once we're there? Fire drills and disaster drills need to be laid out. How classroom helpers are used in throughout the room and throughout the day. That by having specific procedures in place, the children know in all of these areas what is expected of them and how they are to behave. At the high school level, leaving and returning to the classroom, what passes do they need for the hallway to get from one point to another? And then, like the younger kids, fire and disaster drills from wherever they are at in the building, how do they get safely to where they need to be? And then, split lunch period can offer its own host of issues that students need to be aware of. Where are they allowed to be? Where are they not allowed to be? When can they be in the hallway? When can they be moving? And so that all of this is clearly laid out so there's no question about it. During the day, there are times that equipment and materials need to be handed out and collected. How is this done? Who gets to do it? Where does it go? If all of these things are determined ahead of time, students know exactly what to do, and there's less chance of disruption and disruptive behavior. What are the rules about the teacher's desk and teacher storage areas? What are the rules about students' desks and student storage area? How are they allowed to use different things in the classroom, such as a drinking fountain or a sink or a pencil sharpener? In the high school, same thing with distributing and collecting materials. Who does it? How do they do it? How do they move? Where does it go? How does it look once it gets there? Group work needs to be laid out specifically too. How do you move in and out of group? What's expected within the group? What's expected across groups if you're not a part of that group? How does the group communicate with the teacher? Is there one person nominated, or can anyone come from the group? High school group work is actually very similar for what they need to know. What are the expectations? Very similar. And then just during the day, during class, and Marzano laid out identical things for elementary and high school for this one. How are students expected to show attention during presentations? How are they to participate? How are they allowed to talk among each other? How do they get help? When can they be out of their seat? When can they not be out of their seat? What do they do once everything is done? All of these are, again, important for students to know exactly what to do so they are able to do it. And then involve the students in designing these rules and procedures. Have a discussion in class about what appropriate means, and that appropriate behavior for one time is different than another. Appropriate behavior at dinner at home is different than appropriate behavior at dinner in a restaurant. And so that students know that there are times that different behavior is acceptable, let them discuss that. The teacher then can present rules that she or he has already considered, then allow the students to discuss them, have additions, subtractions, or revisions. See if you as a class can come to a consensus. If there isn't a common ground, the teacher has the final say. So this brings me to my essential question, that all of these things are very important. The ideas presented in Marzano Chapter 2 are ones that are essential for effective teachers. The faculty at the school where I currently teach take time each summer to evaluate our classroom-specific and school-wide rules and procedures. Time is taken at the beginning of each school year to ensure that all students know the rules and procedures and that they are practiced throughout the school year as necessary to ensure students are following them. So, how do we introduce, practice, and reinforce these rules and procedures without boring, frustrating, or exasperating our students? Thank you for listening.